My mother's been staying with us for a few days, so when I got the message from Ian Duncan saying I must urgently investigate Cold Kitchen Hill in Kingston, Deverill, I well, what could I do? If duty isn't my watchword, what is? It's a bit windy up here. So there is a Saxon charter for the Deverills, and I say Deverills because there's more than one of them. There's four, which makes it really hard to place which estate the charter was talking about. If perhaps two of them or all of them. So it's quite difficult to solve this one. Grundy didn't even try, or I haven't seen anything by him on it. Perhaps it came out after he was dead or whatever. But it is there. Somebody's had a go at including it in their history of the local area, and they solved Pitley Oak, Poodlan Harm, which I couldn't find when I was looking for it. I couldn't find very much. I found some interesting stuff, mind, but the Poodlan means puddly harm, puddly enclosed field, normally by a river, and there are more than one. It looks to be elongated because it starts and begins at Defereal, and that word itself is Romano-British, is Welsh, and it means good high land by the water, and the water would be the Wylye today. I suspect that this area is like the Winterbournes and the Tarrants and places like that, where there's more than one village with the same second name, because this, I suspect, and it's a bit barking, but hear me out, I suspect that they called this the Wylye the Deverill in their day. This part anyway. It's a good old Anglo-Saxon word, Wylye. It's mentioned in many charters all the way down. It's really important for Bronze Age barrows. A lot of gold's been found in Bronze Age barrows along the Wylye. Must have been very important to them. So it's important to the British to have the name. It's important to these people around here to keep their Romano-British culture for a while, the Deverill idea, because the English were pretty good at telling people, no, this is the way it's going to be from now on. But the only part that I could solve, I think, to any satisfaction, I think it is Kingston Deverill. The charter certainly includes it to a large extent. Yeah, because it's the reason why is because there's a place called Boar's Bottom, just down here, and that is there's a mention of something called Ava Berge, and I'll go into that in a minute. behind me, I think, or the one over there, both very close together, look down on this valley, and this is Boar's Combe, Boar's Bottom. The charter talks about an erver beache, which means, I think it means the boar's barrow, but spelling isn't standardised in the Saxon period. I think it's the boar barrow, and I think Boar Bottom commemorates that or remembers it. And the next part of that boundary goes down to Defereal, eft to Deverill, back to Deverill, which is just down there. The village is just down there. So that's why I think it might be appropriate to mark this as being that barrow. It can also mean hill. So this hill itself, Cold Kitchen Hill, could originally have been Boar Hill, Ever Beache. And so that's that. In answer to Ian, that's how old is Cold Kitchen Hill as a name? Well, it at least goes back to the 1800s, but it's a bit of a weird name. I suspect it was originally, tentatively, I think it was originally Boar Hill.
It's worth mentioning that there are two other names for this agglomeration of hills, this little section of hill. There's White Cliff, which is named in two places within a mile of each other, and also Brimslade, or Brimscombe, one of the two. And that is also named in two places. White Cliff is the white Wheater Cleaver, is the white steep hill, and Brimscombe is probably Brunnies Combe, Brunnies Valley, and that's an Anglo-Saxon name.
Behind me is what's marked as a midden mound, which means a rubbish tip, basically. There's no point in doing this high up, away from any settlement, unless there's a good reason for it. And I think the good reason for it is a comparison with Lowbury Hill in Berkshire. Lowbury Hill is a Roman temple, like the Roman temple we have here. Is Lowbury Hill is a rectangular enclosure, but this is a square one. Roman temples in Britain were very often built on top of hills, away from Romano-British settlements, away from off the main roads, but connected to them. There were obviously somewhere where you would go as a pilgrimage or something along those lines. It went out of use. Well, at Lowbury, it went out of use, and then an Anglo-Saxon prince was buried there in a mound next to it. And what they did was scrape all the earth out of the. There was obviously loads of rubble, and easy to dig earth in the temple, and they just scraped it over a few yards to the side and made a round barrow for their Anglo-Saxon prince. He's definitely my favourite. I could give a name for him, but I'm not going to. But and there's lots of interesting things about his culture as well. But he was definitely an Anglo-Saxon prince, but there's a lot of things that are wrong with it. But I'm saying that is an alternative theory for here. If you no longer are living up here, you would just leave all the rubbish. You wouldn't tidy it away. I think this is a grave. I think it's a grave where they've just scraped the rubble from the temple. I think whoever commissioned it, the temple is really, really important. A site of importance, but was no longer used as a temple. And I think the people who didn't commission it, who were doing the work, just scraped. Maybe they were cleaning it up. Maybe it was like loads of nice walls and a load of rubble on the inside, and they just took the rubble and made it look nice as well. But that explains why this mound was full of coins and finds, antiquities of all sorts, little statues, pottery, plaster. It was just built up here and then tidied up nicely, and then two people buried in it. That's my theory, and there were bones of two people here. I would like to know their positioning within it when they were dug up. That would definitely interest me. I would like to know. What is different from Lowbury is that it is more of a long barrow style than a round barrow style. But I don't think there is evidence that the Romans curated British things. They felt themselves the inheritors of the British, maybe even half Romano-British, in the sense that they were as British as they were Roman. Maybe not. But this is why I think the barrow is here. Another alternative is that the temple was decommissioned, perhaps for Christianity reasons, perhaps not. Perhaps it was just the old world was over. Let's tidy it up. There's now a new world, But it also reminds me of Ewley in Gloucestershire. A statuette of Mercury was found, and it's Ewley in Gloucestershire. The great big head of Mercury was found, buried, disposed of, middened. But it is an enigmatic site, and I think really you can't really. I can see undulations in the soil. Nothing I'll be able to show you. You can see it on the aerial photographs, the satellite photographs. That's quite pretty clear. It's Roman, and it was dug in the 1920s. I would like to see that excavation report, but I can't, thanks to thanks to hacking. The hackers have struck again, and the archive has gone down, so I can't see the investigation report. And if people are in any doubt that there's some argy-bargy going on between us and the Russians, they should this sort of thing should be quite clear. The British Museum website was taken down. I used to be a programmer back in the day when the internet wasn't so insecure, and there was pretty much nobody had the sort of access that could smash up a website when I was doing it back in the day. I find it amazing that we're in a situation where so many websites are being hacked. You just couldn't do it back in the day. Only two people would have a password to get in to do anything. It was a one-way. The internet was a one-way system. You went there to read information. You couldn't modify it really. And everything was, all coding instructions were removed from anything going anywhere near it. So I'm surprised that something as important as the British Library was hacked. That was down for like a year as he tried to put that back together again. It was really annoying for me. I wanted to have a look at anglo-saxon charters, which had been digitised, all gone. But it also makes us think. All of this chat that I've been doing about hedges and ecology, and whether or not farmers can make a profit, and all of that sort of stuff. When you bear in mind that it is, it's either potassium or phosphorus, I can't remember, but one of those two, Belarus and Russia are a major exporter of. that we have stopped producing nitrogen from natural gas in this country. We're no longer self-sufficient in the production of nitrogen. It makes you wonder whether or not we'll ever be able to feed ourselves in a crisis, and I think that crisis isn't too far away. It is getting volatile. But if you do look at the if you're well read and you keep up with things, the Americans will reassure you that everything's okay, but they've got an excellent economy, they've got everything they need, but we're not American. So we are shrinking back from utilising to being self-sustaining, to being secure. We're stepping back for ideological reasons when the world is getting more volatile. We've got good relations with Canada. Canada produces, I think it's phosphorus, or is it potassium? But they're developing a strong relationship with the Americans. There's a sort of a sort of an alliance, an economic alliance going on between them, the Americans, and Mexico, and who are our economic allies anymore, So it's especially when you think, is Trump going to leave NATO if he gets in? Is that going to happen? In which case we need stronger links with Europe. We don't have to do all of those. We don't have to go back into the European Union, but we certainly need to. If we have to go back cap in hand and say, look, we do need stronger links for the sake of, strategic security for the whole continent. Perhaps it's time we had a quid pro quo. Then that's what we need to do. But as a fully paid up member of the Armchair Generals Association, I am alarmed for the next 20 years. But yeah, so that's the reason. It's not just to have a moan is not the reason why I started on this subject. The Romans came here for resources. They'd had enough of paying the middleman. Okay, so we want lead, let's just go and take it, and that's what they did. So we are on the Roman road which is at the bottom of this hill over here, and it is the lost Roman road between, is it Salisbury? Somewhere in the south, to the Mendips, and the Mendips is where the lead comes from. And it's not just lead, we have tin, we have iron, coal, natural gas, petrol. We've got all these things. We are a self-sufficient nation. I'm just wondering whether or not we're going to be shooting ourselves in the foot. But yeah, no. So that was the reason why the Romans came in the first place. They had good, strong trading links. There was quid pro quo for a long time with Rome and Greece and the Mediterranean. But in the end, it was they'd had enough of paying tariffs, had enough of paying the middleman, had enough of paying everybody in between the consumer and the producer. Went, no, we'll take it ourselves, and that's what they did. But anyway, yes, the lost road is just down here. I can see, and it's not on the Heritage Environmental Record, I can see on the satellite photos a continuation of the Roman road from the other side of the valley, crossing, going along, heading in this direction. I'm pretty sure of it. Surely you have your own antiquarians in this area. Have you had a look? Because I think it's there. You can. I think we can join a few more dots in that missing road.